On July 28, 2025, just after 6 p.m., Midtown Manhattan was rocked by a shocking act of violence that would leave the city forever changed. The sun was setting over the city's iconic skyline, and the streets were filled with the usual rush of commuters, tourists, and locals heading home or out for the evening. But in a matter of moments, the ordinary rhythm of Manhattan life was shattered. At 345 Park Avenue, the headquarters of the National Football League, a man armed with a high-powered rifle entered the lobby and opened fire. The building, a symbol of American sports and business, became the scene of chaos and terror as gunshots echoed through the marble halls. Employees and visitors dove for cover, while security scrambled to respond. Panic erupted as people fled for their lives, some clutching briefcases, others helping colleagues or strangers to safety. The sidewalks outside filled with terrified crowds, and the sound of sirens quickly joined the chaos. The gunman, 27-year-old Shane Devin Tamura, killed 4 people, including off-duty NYPD officer Didarul Islam, before taking his own life. The violence was swift and devastating, leaving behind a scene of heartbreak and confusion. NYPD responded within minutes, securing the building and ending the threat. Their rapid response likely saved countless lives, but the damage had already been done. The area was quickly cordoned off as investigators began piecing together what had happened. The city was left reeling, searching for answers. News of the shooting spread rapidly, and soon the world was watching as New Yorkers gathered in shock and sorrow, struggling to comprehend the tragedy that had unfolded in their midst. This was not a random act. Tamura's actions were tied to a deeper story involving football, mental health, and a mysterious brain disease. The connection between the violence and the world of professional sports would soon become a focal point of national debate. His note pointed to a desperate struggle with his own mind. Tamura wrote of confusion, pain, and a sense of being lost, signs of a battle that had raged inside him long before that fateful evening. The tragedy forced the nation to confront the hidden costs of America's favorite sport. As details emerged, questions about player safety, mental health, and the responsibility of major sports organizations dominated headlines and conversations across the country. The pain for the victims' families and the city was just beginning. Grief and disbelief rippled through the community as loved ones gathered to mourn and remember those lost. The question remained, how did it come to this? As the city struggled to heal, the search for understanding and accountability had only just begun. To truly understand the depth of this tragedy, we must first look closely at the life of Shane Tamura, a young man whose story is both complex and deeply troubling. Tamura, just 27 years old, spent his childhood in the sun-soaked suburbs of Southern California. He was a dedicated athlete playing high school football, a sport that not only shaped his youth but also gave him a sense of belonging and purpose. The camaraderie of the team, the discipline of practice, and the thrill of Friday night games were central to his teenage years. Those who knew Shane back then remember him as quiet, polite, and gentle. He was the kind of person who listened more than he spoke and rarely drew attention to himself. Friends and classmates never imagined he could be capable of violence. To them, he was simply a reserved young man, always respectful and kind. After graduation, Tamura moved to Las Vegas, hoping for a fresh start. He found work at a casino, but beneath the city's bright lights, he struggled with feelings of isolation and uncertainty. The transition to adulthood was difficult, and he began to withdraw from those around him, keeping his struggles hidden. In 2022, and again in 2024, Tamura was placed on mental health crisis holds, clear signs that his distress was escalating. These interventions were meant to help, but they also highlighted just how serious his internal battles had become. Despite these warnings, Shane's suffering remained largely invisible to the outside world. He kept his pain locked away, rarely reaching out for help, and those around him often missed the subtle signs of his deepening crisis. Tamura's journey, from promising athlete to mass shooter, is a heartbreaking reminder of how untreated mental health issues can spiral out of control. His story is not just about violence, but about the silent suffering that can go unnoticed until it's too late. In a desperate search for answers, he drove cross-country to New York, convinced that his pain and confusion were somehow linked to his football past. The journey was both literal and symbolic, a final attempt to make sense of his unraveling life. Shane's story challenges us all to recognize the warning signs of mental health crises and to intervene with compassion and urgency. It's a call to action for families, friends, and communities to reach out before tragedy strikes. The tragedy of Shane Tamura is a stark reminder that mental health must be addressed with the same seriousness as any physical illness. We cannot afford to ignore the silent suffering happening all around us. How many others are silently suffering, waiting for someone to notice before it's too late? After the shooting, police found a 3-page note in Tamura's pocket. It wasn't a manifesto, but a raw, emotional plea. Tamura claimed he suffered from CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a brain disease linked to repeated head injuries in contact sports. He asked that his brain be donated to science, hoping for answers after death. The note blamed football, and specifically the NFL, for his mental decline. Tamura's anger was directed at the institution he believed had destroyed his mind. His choice of the NFL headquarters was deliberate, a final, desperate message. At the time, he had no official CTE diagnosis. His belief was his reality. The note offers a chilling glimpse into a mind consumed by pain and searching for meaning. It's a haunting reminder of the consequences of untreated mental illness. CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, is a brain disease caused by repeated head injuries. It's a condition that has only recently come into the public spotlight, but its effects have been quietly devastating lives for decades. Unlike many other brain injuries, CTE develops slowly, often without any obvious warning signs at first. It doesn't come from a single concussion, but from years of small, often unnoticed hits. These repetitive impacts can happen in sports, on the battlefield, or even in accidents. Anywhere the head is exposed to jarring movement. Over time, the damage adds up, even if each individual hit seems minor or goes unreported. Athletes in football, boxing, and hockey are especially at risk, as are military veterans. But CTE isn't limited to professionals. Youth athletes and amateurs can also be affected. The risk is higher for those who start contact sports at a young age or who play for many years. In CTE, a protein called tau clumps together, slowly killing brain cells. These tau tangles disrupt the normal function of the brain, leading to a gradual decline in mental and emotional health. The changes are microscopic at first, but over time, they can have a profound impact on a person's life. Symptoms can take years or decades to appear, making it hard to detect. Early signs might include mood swings, memory loss, or confusion, which are often mistaken for other issues like stress or aging. As the disease progresses, problems with thinking, behavior, and personality can become more severe. CTE can only be diagnosed after death by examining brain tissue under a microscope. This means that many people live with uncertainty, never knowing for sure if their symptoms are caused by CTE or something else. This uncertainty leaves many suffering without answers. Families watch loved ones change, often feeling helpless and confused, searching for explanations that may never come during their lifetime. Tamura's request for his brain to be studied was a plea for understanding. By donating his brain, he hoped to help scientists unlock the secrets of CTE so that others might find answers and hope in the future. The disease's slow, invisible damage is what makes it so devastating. People may look healthy on the outside for years, while their brains are quietly changing on the inside. For many, the search for a diagnosis is a journey filled with frustration and fear. The lack of clear answers can make it difficult to get the right support or treatment, leaving patients and families feeling isolated. CTE remains one of the most challenging mysteries in sports medicine. Researchers are working tirelessly to find ways to diagnose it earlier and to develop treatments that can slow or stop its progression. The need for better research and support is urgent. Only through continued study, awareness, and compassion can we hope to protect future generations from the hidden dangers of CTE. CTE's symptoms are often invisible, affecting memory, mood, and behavior. They can take years to develop, often appearing in a person's 30s or 40s. Early signs include forgetfulness, impulsivity, and mood swings. As the disease progresses, depression, anxiety, aggression, and confusion can take hold. In advanced stages, CTE can lead to dementia and severe cognitive decline. Loved ones may feel they're losing the person they once knew. Not all symptoms mean CTE, many overlap with other conditions. But when these signs appear in someone with a history of head trauma, it's a red flag. The lack of a clear diagnosis in living people makes treatment difficult. CTE's impact extends far beyond the field, affecting families and communities. The need for awareness and support has never been greater. Tamura's attack on 345 Park Avenue was a direct message to the NFL. The building is the league's headquarters, a symbol of American football's power. Tamura blamed the NFL for his suffering, believing football had caused his brain disease. His note expressed anger at the league, holding it responsible for his mental decline. The NFL has faced lawsuits and criticism over CTE for years, prompting rule changes and research funding. Yet the issue remains unresolved, with players and families still at risk. The attack forced the league to confront the real-world consequences of brain injuries. For NFL employees, the tragedy was personal. One of their own was seriously injured. Commissioner Roger Goodell offered support, but the debate over football's risks reignited. The violence at NFL headquarters made the CTE crisis impossible to ignore. The conversation about brain health in sports is now more urgent than ever. Tamura's background was filled with warning signs. He had 2 mental health crisis holds, yet still obtained a legal gun permit in Nevada. This gap in the system raises tough questions about firearm laws and mental health. Tamura also had a minor criminal record, an arrest for trespassing. Police found weapons, ammunition, and prescription medication in his car after the shooting. He was likely receiving some treatment, but it wasn't enough. His story is a tragic example of someone falling through the cracks. The combination of football injuries, mental health struggles, and easy access to guns proved deadly. It's a call to fix the systems meant to protect us. In the aftermath, the NYPD acted swiftly to secure the scene and reassure the public. Commissioner Jessica Tisch confirmed the threat was over and the investigation was ongoing. The NFL closed its offices and offered support to employees, with Commissioner Goodell expressing sorrow for the victims. Both organizations have been cautious in their statements, awaiting the full investigation. The tragedy has forced the NFL to confront the CTE crisis head-on. For New York, it was a day of shock and grief. For the league, it was a painful reckoning with the risks of the game. As New York mourns, we remember the victims, Officer Didarul Islam and 3 others whose lives were cut short. Their loss is a call to action, to make sports safer and mental health care more accessible. CTE is real, and its impact is devastating. We must support research, improve safety, and prioritize brain health at every level of sport. Mental wellness matters. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Systems must be in place to identify and help those in crisis before tragedy strikes. This story is not about blame, but about compassion and understanding. We must address the complex ties between physical health, mental health, and public safety. By honoring the victims with action, we can build a safer, healthier future. Let their memory inspire change.